The quiet evening of August 23, 2020, settled over North Houston, Texas, with a calmness that betrayed the darkness about to unfold. The city lights shimmered faintly against the damp night air, and life seemed to move on as usual, until one young woman vanished without a trace. She was 24 years old, full of dreams and ambition, a daughter, a friend, and a woman whose kindness left imprints on everyone she met. But behind her vibrant smile, destiny had already begun to weave a cruel twist, one that would end in betrayal, heartbreak, and horror. That night, she set out with hope in her heart and trust in someone she believed she knew. But that trust was misplaced. In the shadows lurked a predator, someone she should have been safe around, someone who saw her innocence not as beauty, but as prey. Hours later, her phone would go silent, her messages unanswered, and her trail lost. When she failed to return home, worry turned into panic. Family and friends searched desperately, clinging to fading hope. Soon the police stepped in, piecing together fragments of her last known movements, text, CCTV footage, and a chilling digital trail that hinted at the unimaginable. What they uncovered would shake the community to its core and expose a truth more sinister than anyone could have imagined. This is her story. The summer night in Atlanta was heavy with heat, the kind that sticks to your skin and makes the air feel alive. The city buzzed in its usual rhythm, but for Jokisha Brown, the night of July 1st, 2016, was supposed to be different. Tomorrow she would turn 36, and life, she believed, was finally starting to smile back at her. Inside her black Mercedes SUV, Jokisha admired her reflection. Her makeup shimmered softly under the parking lot lights, the final touch for the birthday celebration she'd been planning. She had come so far, from Jacksonville's South Side to Atlanta's bright lights, and she was ready to celebrate not just another year, but another chance. But somewhere in the shadows of the Cheshire Bridge Road strip mall, something sinister was moving. Silent, deliberate, waiting. The figure lurking nearby knew exactly where to find her. He had studied her like a hunter studies his prey, memorizing her patterns, her routines, her hopes. As she adjusted her lipstick, unaware of the danger creeping closer, fate drew its final breath. Then, bang! The sound ripped through the warm night, sharp and cruel. Then another, and another. Witnesses thought they were hearing fireworks, the early kind that dance in the air before the 4th of July. But these weren't fireworks. These were bullets. And they were meant for her. Within seconds, Jokisha's dreams, her laughter, her plans, everything she'd worked so hard to build were stolen in a storm of gunfire. She slumped forward, her birthday candles never to be lit. The irony was almost unbearable. A woman preparing to celebrate life, murdered on the eve of her birth. To those who knew her, Jokisha Dynasty Brown was more than beautiful. She was magnetic. Born July 2nd, 1980 in Jacksonville, Florida, she was the eldest of 9 children, a natural nurturer and the family's foundation. She worked hard, lifting her siblings whenever life weighed them down. When one of her brothers lost everything, Jokisha opened her door without hesitation. Her heart was as grand as her ambition. After finishing high school, she refused to be confined by small-town dreams. She chased opportunity all the way to Atlanta, where she juggled modeling, acting, and a thriving real estate career with Keller Williams Realty. Her colleagues admired her drive. Photographers adored her confidence. She was a woman who seemed untouchable, radiant, resilient, unstoppable. But behind that smile was a quiet storm. Just months earlier, Jokisha had buried her brother, Marlon, gunned down in Jacksonville. His death left her shattered. She clung to Faith and her teenage son Jack, whom she affectionately called Noodles. Every dream she chased was for him. What she couldn't have known was that her greatest battle wasn't with grief. It was with the man she once thought she loved. Alfredo Capote entered Jokisha's life like a charm wrapped in confidence. He was smooth-talking, successful, and connected in all the right circles, or so he claimed. At first, he seemed like a blessing, a man who understood her hustle, her dreams, her need for independence. But blessings can turn into curses faster than a smile fades. Slowly, Capote's affection curdled into obsession. His love was like quicksand, suffocating, deceptive, and impossible to escape. He called constantly, showed up uninvited, questioned her friends, criticized her choices. He disguised control as care, possessiveness as passion. Soon, Jokisha's bright spirit began to dim. The woman who once lit up rooms was now walking on eggshells, unsure which version of Capote she'd meet next, the charming man who promised the world or the monster who would soon destroy hers. On April 7, 2016, Capote's obsession exploded into full-blown terror. He invaded her home in Duluth, Georgia, while her 17-year-old son Jack was inside. Jack woke up to find a gun pointed at his face. The man demanded money that didn't exist. He was tied to his bed while Capote and an accomplice ransacked the house. But this wasn't a robbery. It was a performance, a twisted play staged by a man desperate for control. While Jack lay helpless, Capote turned his rage toward Jokisha. He assaulted her, brutally, repeatedly, using the staged robbery as a mask for his violence. Then he kidnapped both mother and son, taking them to a hotel where he assaulted her again. For most people, this would have been the end, but not for Jokisha. With courage that could bend steel, she leapt from a moving vehicle to save her life. Bruised, terrified, and bleeding, she crawled to safety and found a stranger who helped her contact police. She told them everything. She gave names, details, evidence. She believed, as any survivor should, that justice would protect her. But justice failed. Despite multiple warrants for Capote's arrest, for rape, kidnapping, and aggravated assault, the system moved slower than her fear. Jurisdictions argued over who should handle what. Paperwork lingered. Weeks turned into months, and Capote stayed free. For 3 long months, Jokisha lived like a shadow of herself. She changed her routines, hid her location, prayed for safety, but fear had already set up camp in her chest. "I feel like something bad is going to happen," she told friends. Her words would soon echo like prophecy. On the morning of July 1st, she wrote her final Facebook post, a prayer for strength as she faced her first birthday without her brother. Quote, "Lord, please give me strength. The thought makes my stomach weak and these eyes water." That evening, she drove to the beauty salon, ready to reclaim joy, just one night to feel beautiful again. The irony cut deep. As she painted her face for celebration, death was already on its way. Around 9:15 p.m., witnesses heard what they thought were fireworks. Then came screams. In the driver's seat of her black Mercedes, Jokisha was slumped over, the glow of her phone still lighting her lap. Her freshly done makeup was now streaked with blood, a cruel portrait of the life that had been stolen. The shooter disappeared into the night, leaving behind only silence and shattered glass. Witnesses ran toward her, desperate to help, but there was nothing anyone could do. Jokisha's breaths came faint and shallow, then stopped. Just like that, the woman who had survived everything, poverty, loss, abuse, betrayal, was gone. The police investigation confirmed what everyone already feared. This was no random act. It was execution. A man she once loved, a man the system had promised to catch, had found her first. Months later, Alfredo Capote was arrested in Louisiana on unrelated charges, but justice came too late for Jokisha. The woman who did everything right, reported, testified, trusted, had been silenced by the same system that was supposed to protect her. And so, the world lost not just a mother, a sister, a friend, but a reminder that domestic violence doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care about wealth, education, or fame. It hunts in silence, and it kills in daylight. On what should have been her 36th birthday, candles flickered not on a cake, but beside a framed photo. A smiling woman with eyes that once saw the world as full of possibility. Jokisha Dynasty Brown, beautiful, brilliant, brave, became yet another name whispered in the long, sorrowful lists of women failed by the system. But her story refuses to fade, because every time we remember her, we confront the truth. She didn't die because she was weak. She died because justice was slow.